Okay, it's me again, the Losif, my screen name or username. And this video is the video I mentioned about. I was going to do a video about what I hate about Apple or Macs, and there's not a lot, but there is some things that kind of pisses me off about what they do. So let's just jump into this. First thing I don't like about Mac is they have the iMac, which is a great system, a great all-in-one system, and I would say it's probably one of the best desktop PCs for consumers because it's all-in-one. It got everything that you need for now. The main thing I don't like about that is the only system that's higher than the iMac for a desktop is the Mac Pro, and the Mac Pro is a great system, and I really want one, but I'm not a professional. I want a powerful system. I don't need Xeon processors. I don't need server grade processors, and I also don't need fully buffered RAM. That makes the RAM completely expensive. I want a Mac that's a tower, but that's not a Mac Pro. Kind of something for a prosumer, you know. More than a consumer, but a little under-professional. I'd like to have a Mac tower that just supports DDR2 RAM, maybe only supports 8 gigs, maybe only has one processor, and maybe instead of having a Xeon processor, it has just a standard like Intel Core 2 Duo desktop, like a Socket 775 processor. Because the Mac Pro is like the only Mac that you can fully upgrade. You can add a new video card, you can add expansion cards, you can add new hard drives, new RAM, and even new processors. Like if you went out and bought a 2 dual-core Xeon, so a 4-core, not an 8-core, but a 4-core Mac Pro, you can go out and buy the Xeon processors and put them in, and it'll read it fine. They've done it on a few magazines. For the most part, I would say that you can just add pretty much anything. And that's what I want. I want a Mac, you know, that being not a professional but a high-level user that I can upgrade. Throw in a new video card when I need one. Throw in some new RAM, some new hard drive space. Now, the iMac, the G5 iMac, which the Intel iMac is pretty much based off as far as its design or external case, was more upgradable than the Intel Mac. Now, you couldn't upgrade the processor, but you could just lay it down on the front and take the back panel off, and you had access to full desktop size RAM, and you had access to the hard drive, so you can just, and even in the DVD drive, and you can add that. And for what I've seen, if you want to try to upgrade a new Intel-based iMac, you actually have to take the front bezel off, take the screen out to get access to anything, except for the RAM. You can access the RAM from the bottom, just from what I've seen in a few other videos. So they made the Intel Mac less upgradable than the G5 Mac. And that's another thing. Upgradability. If you don't have a Mac Pro, it's borderline impossible to upgrade a Mac. You can upgrade RAM for the most part. If you get in there, you can upgrade hard drives. Now on notebooks, you can upgrade hard drives really easy, and the same with RAM, from what I know. But in the notebooks, you can't upgrade processors. Even if you get in there, it's soldered on. On iMacs, if you dig around in there, you can actually unhook it and put a new processor in. In getting to that, the iMac and the Mac Mini, they use laptop hardware or notebook hardware. They have notebook-based processors. They have notebook-based RAM. And well, the Mac Mini has a notebook-based hard drive. The iMac has a regular standard 3.5 inch, and they both use laptop DVD burners or DVD drives, what have you. And you can upgrade the processors in the iMacs and the Mac Minis, but it's really hard to do. And you can't just slide off the back like you could with the G5 to add a new hard drive, and that pisses me off. So it's hard to upgrade a Mac unless you have a Mac Pro, you know. And getting to that, the Mac Mini makes me mad. For the longest time, I wanted a Mac Mini. For example, when this is how it used to work when they first entered the Intel market. First, the iMac came out, and then the MacBook Pro, and then the MacBook, and then the Mac Mini. And for the longest time, the iMac, for the most part, had almost identical specs or options, or very similar to the MacBook Pro. And the Mac Mini was very similar to the MacBook. But then they switched the MacBooks and the MacBook Pros and the iMacs to Core 2 Duo processors. And the Mini is still running a Core Duo processor. And they haven't upgraded the Mini, and they don't upgrade it nearly as often. I don't know the exact date that the last upgrade for the Mini, but they haven't upgraded it nearly as often as the iMacs. And also, it always makes me mad because it's hard to get new hardware on a Mac, because you have to wait until the Mac's versions come out. For example, I can't get like a high-end 8 series NVIDIA card in a Mac Pro just because it's not out yet. And also, the new MacBook Pros, they have the new 8600 NVIDIA graphics cards built in, and those are awesome. I want that in an iMac because I'm thinking about getting an iMac. And that came out that came out, I think the new MacBooks came out this month, earlier this month, maybe last month, that had the new video cards. And the iMac and the MacBook Pro should have the same hardware. From how I'm concerned, it should run the same stuff, because that's basically what it is. Okay, so I'm really waiting for the new iMacs to come out. I think they're supposed to come out in September, and I'm hoping that that they have maybe the LDE lighting for their monitors. Maybe not, because they're not as small as the 15-inch. MacBook Pros are the only Macs that have the LDE screens, but I'm hoping they come out with the same hardware that the Mac books come out with. Or I may save up to get a Mac Pro, but I'm really waiting until they get a new video card for the Mac Pro. So my main problem with Mac is you're either a beginner or a professional. There's no middle. There's no prosumer, if you will. I'm either getting it because I like the iMac a lot. It comes with all this great stuff. It comes with built-in iSight, which is awesome, and all this other great stuff. But I want a tower. I would prefer that over an all-in-one system. And they don't have a mid-grade desktop, monitorless desktop. They only have the professional or the Mini. And throwing back to the Mini, the low-end iMacs and the MacBooks, they all have integrated graphics. And for the longest time, even on the Mac Mini website, back when it was a G4 based Mac Mini, they said that the G4 Mac Mini can play Halo because it has a Radeon 9200, 32 megabytes, so it can actually run games. And it says, whereas integrated graphics leech off of the main system and the main processor, and they have integrated now. They used to never have integrated video, and I haven't used the performance of the integrated video, so I can't say that it's horrible, but I prefer to have an NVIDIA or an ATI graphics chip over those. Okay, I think the last thing that Apple does that makes me mad is if you go and you look at, if you go in their Apple Store to buy a Mac, their prices are good, and there used to be a myth that they are really expensive, and for the most part I found they're cheaper, equal to, or very similar in price to Dell and other related systems. But the Mac Pro, they charge way too much for their upgrades. Okay, yeah, if I want to add a second hard drive, a 500 gigabyte hard drive, it's $330. Now I can buy one for a little over $100 and install it myself, which I highly suggest people do. And also, their video cards are really good price, so nothing against that, nothing against their processors or optical drives. It's all good prices, but their system RAM, they're charging $300 per gig almost. For example, it comes with 1 gig. If I wanted to upgrade it to 2 gigs, it would cost me $300 for 1 gig of RAM. I can buy, from what I've seen on Newegg, a 2 gig stick of RAM for $300. So I highly suggest that if you're buying a new Mac Pro, get your processor and your video card from Apple. But if you need bigger hard drives and more RAM, buy them from Newegg or an online store like that. So I think that's my last complaint. And also, thanks for the comments. I got a very few amount, but for the most part they're pretty good. I got like 1 subscription now, so awesome. So talk to you guys later.